Then we must keep a caution in the use of interest and dividend. In case of financial enterprise, whose main business is lending and borrowing, interest paid, interest received, and dividend received are classified as operating activities, while the dividend paid is called the financing activity. But in case of non-financial enterprise, as per Accounting Standard 3, it is considered most appropriate that payment of interest or dividend are classified as financing activities, whereas receipt of interest and dividend are classified as investing activity. Then there is one more item, taxes on incomes and gains. So taxes may be the income tax, the capital gain tax, dividend tax. Taxes may include any one of them or all of them. Accounting Standard 3 requires that the cash flow arising from the taxes on income should be separately disclosed and should be classified as cash flows from the operating activities unless they are specifically identified with the financing and investing activities. सो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि टैक्स ऑन ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट्स को हमने ऑपरेटिंग कैश फ्लोज का पार्ट मानना है, डिविडेंड टैक्स को हमने फाइनेंसिंग एक्टिविटी का पार्ट मानना है अलॉन्ग विद द डिविडेंड पेड, और किसी भी किस्म का जो कैपिटल गेन टैक्स हमने पे किया है that should be classified under investing activities. Then there are certain non-cash transactions also. As per Accounting Standard 3, investing and financing transactions that do not require the use of cash and cash equivalents should be excluded from the cash flow statements. It means that any sort of acquisition of the machinery by issuance of equity shares cannot be included in the cash flow statement. These transactions can be disclosed in the financial statements but cannot be the part of cash flow statement. In front of your screens, you can see the performer of cash flow statement. So it includes cash flows from the operating activities, plus minus cash flows from the investing activities, plus minus cash flows from the financing activities. इन तीनों को हम सम अप करेंगे. सम अप करने के बाद जो भी कैश या कैश इक्विवेलेंट हमारे पास एट द टाइम ऑफ द बिगनिंग ऑफ द ईयर होता है उसको ऐड करेंगे और हमारा रिजल्टेंट वेरिएबल विल बी इक्विवेलेंट टू कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर. Now let us ascertain cash flow statement from the operating activity. There are two methods by which we can generate cash from operating activities: direct method and the indirect method. Direct method is whereby major classes of the gross cash receipts and gross cash payments are disclosed. Direct method में हम सारी receipts जो कैश के साथ रिलेटेड है और जो कैश पेमेंट्स हैं उनको कंसीडर करते हैं, whereas in indirect method the net profit or losses is duly adjusted with the effect of transactions of a non-cash nature, any deferral or accrual of the past or future operating cash receipts, and items of the incomes and expenses associated with investing or financing cash flows. One thing to be kept in the mind is that under indirect method, the starting point is net profit or losses before taxation and extraordinary item. It means that first of all we will have to make adjustments for taxation and extraordinary items to arrive at net profit or losses as desired and as required by indirect method. In front of your screen, you can see the cash flow from operating activities. Under direct method, first of all, the cash receipts from customers is calculated. Cash receipts from customers is equivalent to sales plus debtors and bill receivable in the beginning minus debtors and bill receivable at the end. The second item is cash paid to the suppliers and employees. For cash paid to the suppliers, it is calculated as purchases plus creditors and bill payable in the beginning minus creditors and bill payable at the end. And purchases can be calculated as cost of goods sold minus opening stock plus closing stock. The cash paid to suppliers and employees is deducted from the cash receipts from the customer, and the resultant variable is cash generated from operations. And then the income tax which has been paid is adjusted. After deducting the income tax paid, the resultant variable is known as cash flow before extraordinary items. And after that, we will have to adjust extraordinary items. After adjusting extraordinary items, the resultant variable is what is known as net cash from operating activities. Now let us take one example. Calculate cash from operating activities using direct method. We are given with profit and loss account for the year ended March 31, 2010. Cost of goods sold, gross profit. On the credit side, we have sales. On the debit side, we have to rent and salary, insurance premium, depreciation, income tax, and net profit. Beside this, there is an additional information. Debtors have opening balances and closing balances. Similarly, opening and closing balances are given for BR, that is bill receivable, creditors, stock, rent and salaries are outstanding, prepaid insurance, income tax outstanding. Now let us generate the cash from operating activities. First of all, we will have to calculate the cash receipts from customers. And the formula for same is sales plus opening balances of debtors and bill receivable minus closing balances of debtors and bill receivables. Putting up the information in this formula, we get sales is 4,40,000 plus 50,000 debtors plus 16,000 bill receivables minus 60,000 debtors minus 12,000 bill receivable at the end. And the total cash receipts from the customers are 4,34,000. So we will be writing 4,34,000 in front of cash receipts from customers. Second thing which we have studied, which we will be calculating now, is cash paid to suppliers. And the formula for the same is purchases plus opening balances of creditors and bill payables minus closing balances of creditors and bill payables. Now see, we are not provided with the information of purchases. So the purchases will be calculated as cost of goods sold minus opening stock plus closing stock. यहाँ से हमें पता चलेगा कि पूरे साल में हमने कितनी परचेजेस की हैं. So the cost of goods sold is 2,40,000 माइनस करेंगे इसमें से ओपनिंग स्टॉक हम लेंगे एडिशनल इन्फॉर्मेशन से, जहाँ पे ओपनिंग बैलेंसेस है 44,000, उसको माइनस कर दीजिए, फिर उसमें प्लस कीजिए जो क्लोजिंग बैलेंस है दैट इज़ 54,000 एंड द रिजल्टेंट वेरिएबल इज परचेजेस दैट इज़ 2,50,000. अब इस परचेजेस को हम यूज़ करेंगे कैश पेड टू सप्लायर्स कैलकुलेट करने के लिए. सो कैश पेड टू सप्लायर्स इज इक्वल टू 2,50,000 plus opening balance of creditor that is 34,000 minus closing balance of creditors that is 30,000, and the resultant variable is 2,54,000. So we have received 4,34,000 from customers and we have paid 2,54,000. It means that this is known as cash generated from our operations. After this, we will have to make adjustments for expenses. So first of all, the adjustment cash paid to employees can be calculated as salaries plus outstanding salaries, opening balances minus outstanding salaries, closing balances. तो टोटल जो हमने इस साल कैश पे किया एज अ सैलरी वो आया 60,000 सैलरी प्लस जो पिछले साल का हमने इस बार पे किया होगा दैट इज 4,000 माइनस जो अभी अगले साल हम पे करेंगे जो अभी हमारा आउटस्टैंडिंग है दैट इज 6,000. इट मीन्स दैट द सैलरी पेड आर 58,000. Then is the cash paid as insurance premium. Insurance premium which was paid during the year was 16,000. Then there was prepaid insurance premium in the beginning जो इस साल का था लेकिन हमने प्री पे कर दिया था पिछले साल। तो प्री पे किया हुआ प्रीमियम हम माइनस कर देंगे ओपनिंग बैलेंसेस, और जो अगले आने वाले साल का प्री पेड इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम है जो हमने इस साल पे कर दिया है, दैट विल बी एडेड. So the resultant variable for premium is 17,000. After adjusting all these figures, that is 4,34,000 minus 2,54,000 minus 58,000 minus 17,000, तो रसीट्स में से सारी पेमेंट्स डिडक्ट करने के बाद हमारे पास रिजल्टेंट वेरिएबल आया है कैश फ्रॉम ऑपरेशंस. सो कैश फ्रॉम ऑपरेशंस में से अब हमने डिडक्ट करना है इनकम टैक्स. इनकम टैक्स कैसे आया? इनकम टैक्स पेड ड्यूरिंग द ईयर वॉज 20,000. आउटस्टैंडिंग बैलेंसेस ओपनिंग है 6,000 और क्लोजिंग है हमारे पास 4,000. सो इनकम टैक्स में 20,000 प्लस लास्ट ईयर का बैलेंस जो इस बार पे किया 6,000 माइनस जो इस साल का बैलेंस हमें अगले साल पे करना है, बट कैश हैज नॉट येट बीन आउटफ्लोन फ्रॉम द बिजनेस. इसका मतलब उसको 4,000 माइनस कर देंगे तो टोटल टैक्स पेड इज 22,000. By deducting 22,000 from 1,05,000, the net cash flow will be arrived, and it is net cash inflow amounting to rupees 83,000. Now let us move on to indirect method of calculating cash flow statement. As mentioned earlier, indirect method of ascertaining cash flow from operating activity begin with the amount of net profit or losses, and it includes certain non-operating items such as interest paid, profit or loss on sale of fixed assets, non-cash items which are written off like depreciation, goodwill, etc. In front of your screens, you can see the performer of cash flow from operating activities. So this is according to indirect method. We will be starting with net profit or losses before tax and extraordinary items plus deductions which has already been made in profit and loss account on account of non-cash items such as depreciation, goodwill, written off, plus